All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, whether we realize it or not: scheduling. How does a company like Amazon get your package to you on time? How does the hospital make sure it has enough nurses for a night shift? It's not luck, it's all about scheduling. And it can be this incredibly high stakes puzzle that can make or break a business. To get our heads around how it all works, we're going to start with just one single, really big number: 2,430. Any guesses what that is? I'll give you a hint. It has nothing to do with parts in a Tesla or packages leaving an Amazon warehouse. But it is the key to one of the most insane scheduling puzzles on the entire planet. So yeah, keep that number 2430 in your back pocket. We'll come back to it. So here's what we've got on deck. We're going to start by figuring out that impossible timetable. Then we'll get into the basic building blocks of scheduling. After that, we'll dive into how you actually choose your priorities and control the shop floor. We'll even see how this all applies to scheduling people, not just parts. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the big principles of flow. Okay, let's crack this code. That number I gave you, 2,430, that is the total number of games in one Major League Baseball season. I mean, think about that for a second. You've got 30 different teams, each playing 162 games. The logistics are just, wow. And get this, for years, this whole crazy puzzle was put together by a husband and wife team using their own software. Can you imagine? Now, of course, the MLB uses some seriously advanced stuff called combinatorial optimization. That's just a fancy way of saying they use powerful algorithms that can churn through millions, and I mean millions, of possible schedules to figure out the best one. They have to juggle travel, who's playing who, TV times, everything. It is the perfect real-world example of the kind of massive operations problem we're talking about today. All right, so to even begin to tackle a problem like the MLB schedule, you've got to know the basics. You have to speak the language. So let's lay down the fundamental building blocks. These are the core choices every single manager has to make. First things first, what's a work center? It sounds technical, but it's super simple. It's just the place where the work actually happens. Think of it as a single station on an assembly line, one really important machine, or even a team of coders working on a project. It's the resource, the thing, or the people that we have to schedule. Okay, this is a really big one. This slide breaks down the two main ways you can think about loading work. On one side, you've got infinite loading. This is kind of the wishful thinking approach. It's like having a to-do list that just keeps getting longer, and you just assume you'll get it to it all. You're not really thinking about how many hours are in the day. Then on the other side, you have finite loading. This is the realist. It knows you only have 24 hours in a day, or that your machine can only produce so much. It schedules everything based on your actual, real-world capacity. It's the difference between hope and a plan. And it's not just how much work, but when you plan it. You can go in two directions here. There's forward scheduling. This is when a customer asks, hey, when can I have this? You start the clock right now and figure out the absolute earliest you can finish. But then there's backward scheduling. This is for when your boss says, this project is due on Friday, no exceptions. You start from that Friday deadline and work backward to figure out the absolute latest possible moment you can start and still make it. Okay, so we've got the basics down. Now for the real fun. This is where the rubber meets the road. Imagine you've got 5 different tasks piled up on your desk, all waiting for you. Which one do you do first? How do you decide? Because that single decision, that can change everything. So let's get practical. Here's a classic example from the book, a copy shop called Legal Copy Express. They've got one big color copier, and 5 jobs just landed. And as you can see, they're all different. Job A takes a long time but isn't due right away. Job B is super quick. So what's the smartest way to tackle this list? Well, the truth is, there's no one best way. It totally depends on what you're trying to achieve. And for that, you've got a whole toolkit of what we call priority rules. You could go with first come, first served, super simple. Or you could try shortest operating time to get quick wins. Or maybe you're all about deadlines, so you use earliest due date. Let's see what happens when we try a couple of these out. All right, rule number 1, first come, first served, or FCFS. This is probably the one we're all most familiar with. It's the rule of the line. Doesn't matter if you're buying a single coffee or a dozen donuts, you wait your turn. It's fair, it's simple, and you just do the jobs in the exact order they showed up. So if our copy shop just follows that simple rule, they'll do the jobs in order, A, then B, then C, and so on. The total time to get everything done, and we call this the total flow time, is 50 days. Okay, that's our starting point. Remember that number, 50 days. The question is, can we crush that? Okay, let's switch things up. We're throwing out the FCFS rule and trying something new, shortest operating time, or SOT. You know this one too. It's the express checkout lane at the supermarket. The whole point is to knock out the easy wins first. Get the small jobs out of the way to clear the system and make everyone feel like things are moving. And wow, just look at that. This is huge. By simply changing the order, doing the quickest jobs first, the total flow time plummets from 50 days down to 36. 36. That is a massive improvement. We didn't buy a new machine, we didn't hire anyone, all we did was change the sequence of our work. That's the power of picking the right role. But, and this is so important, there's always a trade-off. It's never that simple. Look at this comparison. SOT, the rule we just used, is the clear winner for getting things done fast overall. It has the best average flow time. But what if your number one goal is not being late? In that case, you might want to use the earliest due date rule, EDD. It might be a little slower on average, but it's better at hitting your deadlines. So you have to ask yourself, what do I care about most? And this chart just drives that point home. If your only mission is to reduce how long jobs are just sitting there waiting, SOT is your champion. Hands down, no contest. So the big takeaway here is that you can't just pick a rule at random. You've got to know what you're trying to optimize for. Speed, on-time delivery, something else, and then pick the tool that's right for that job. Okay, so making a plan is great, but you know what they say, right? Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Reality happens. So how do you actually keep the plan on track when things go wrong? Let's talk about controlling the shop floor. This right here, this is a manager's secret weapon. It's an input/output control report, and it's really simple. It just compares what you planned to get done with what you actually got done. The most important number to watch is that cumulative deviation at the bottom. See how it's getting deeper and deeper into the negative? That's a huge red flag. It's screaming at you that you've got a problem. More work is piling up than you're finishing. This report is like a smoke detector for your production line. It warns you that a bottleneck is forming before the whole place goes up in flames. So up to now, we've been talking a lot about copy machines and factories. But don't think for a second that this stuff only applies to making things. These exact same ideas are mission critical when you're scheduling your most valuable and most complicated resource of all, people. I mean, think about trying to create the weekly schedule for a Starbucks or a hospital ER. It's a nightmare, right? Well, modern software automates this whole process. First, it figures out how many people you actually need. Then, it looks at who's even available to work. After that, it gets smart, matching the right skills to the right tasks. And finally, the algorithm does its magic, putting it all together into a perfect, optimized schedule with no conflicts. See? It's the exact same logic. You're just scheduling people instead of print jobs. Okay, so we've looked at the tools, we've looked at the rules. Now let's zoom out. Let's talk about the big picture philosophy behind all of this. What are the core principles that make it all work? Listen, if you only remember one thing from this whole discussion, make it this quote right here. There is a direct equivalence between workflow and cash flow. Let that sink in. When work is moving smoothly and quickly through your system, that means cash is moving smoothly and quickly into your bank account. When things get stuck, when you have bottlenecks, that's not just inventory sitting there. That's your cash, trapped and useless. It's that simple. Workflow literally is cash flow. And this all leads to a really interesting question about the future. About your future. We know AI is getting scarily good at this stuff, at optimizing and scheduling. So what's left for the human manager to do? Is your job going to be designing the rules for the AI to play by? Or is the real human value going to be in managing the chaos, handling all the curveballs and exceptions that no algorithm could ever see coming? That's a big question to think about as you move forward.